We get an answer in the Ahmaud Arbery shooting, so we'll talk a bit about what went on there. 75% of the US hit by inflation mostly blame Joe Biden, so we'll talk just a bit about what's happening with there. Hospitalizations are rising among fully vaccinated in the US, so we'll talk a bit about that. But for the most part, I want to hear what you're thankful for today, so get in the live chat. I'm actually going to try and do Discord call for this, but I don't know if it's going to work. Discord doesn't seem to be working with my regular headphones here, so we'll give it a try, but, well, let's see what you're thankful for here today, guys. I'm J. Edgar. Let's go, Brandon. This is Contemporary. So, it is super weird trying to use this laptop again after so long and trying to get around with everything else here, especially when I'm up on travel mode right now as well. I've tried to get everything set up and everything to go, but I'm not using my regular webcam, and, well, that's giving me a little bit of problem here, gave me a little bit of issue. But yeah, I was signed out of everything that came off of here. I just spent the last hour trying to get everything set back up so we could get up and stream here this morning, but we've got a little bit of news to go over. I don't know if Discord is going to work. I am in the voice room, which actually means I've got to switch to the different voice room because I can't be in general for this, so let me get that done up here. Let's get in for the live room here. So, of course, usual rules apply if you guys do want to get into the waiting room and hit pick me for that, but we'll do that after the news. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Let's go get that checked out. And guys, do make sure you go check out TurnSomePagesProductions.com. We are still trying to raise our goal, but we're not going to be using the GoFundMe because, well, GoFundMe has turned into something that I don't care for, so that's not going to be up on the menu right now, but do still go check out the website here, and over the weekend I'm going to find a new payment processor so we can see if we can get up and actually get some funds raised for this, get the web lady paid, and actually get a functioning website that we can go check out. Great shows such as The Daily Ignoramus, The Breakdown with Breckenhoff, The R-Rated Conservative, The Freckles and Brit Show, and The Porch Boys. So go check out that website, TurnSomePagesProductions.com, and we'll see you over there. And once we get started, great news, great personalities, great articles, and a better website. News by the common man for the common man. That's what I've always envisioned. That's what I've always wanted, and that's what we want to see out of this. All right, let's get started as we usually do in the top with finance. Where is my news feed? There it is. Yeah, just using old style OBS too. That's another one that's kind of screwing with me here, but we'll get started. We'll get it going, and let's hear what you're thankful for. So, yeah, go ahead, definitely put everything up in the chat. And if you're not in the Discord, get in the Discord because that's where we'll take the calls. All right, starting in with the Dow yesterday. We won't have to spend a lot of time on the Dow tomorrow because it's going to be closed. There isn't going to be anything on the Dow for that, but looking in at the Dow for the day, the Dow had a down day yesterday, dropping off almost immediately. It did almost claw its way back. It looks like for the past couple days, we actually looked at a Dow Jones Industrial Average that was close to where the previous close was. Yesterday was a little bit above, and today is going to be a little bit down, but after this sharp drop-off, clawing its way all the way back to almost where it was, I mean, that does look like a good sign, so we'll see what's happening with that. We are coming into the Christmas retail season, so Monday's Dow analysis is probably going to be a little bit more intensive. We'll see what happens with retail sales, and if they don't get to where I think a lot of investors want to see them, I think a lot of this is going to drop off, but that's what we'll see coming out of that. Or your Bitcoin, because that trades 24/7 worldwide, whether it's a holiday or not. Your Bitcoin is at 565. Ooh, switching characters around in my head. US dollars and 20 US cents. So a little bit of a roller coaster yesterday too. Rose up, dropped off, and then rose up to, well, it's clawing its way back towards 50 or 60,000. We'll see if it gets back to 66,000 and makes another record. I'm not exactly faithful about that, but we'll see what happens with that because, as we all know, it's going to be taxed into oblivion once we get up into the new infrastructure spending. So we'll see what happens with that. All right, we're not going to do scrap metal prices today because there's really no need to. Nobody's going to be going out and throwing around industrials as scrap metal prices. It does look like copper has been on the rise, steel has been on the rise, aluminum has been on the fall, and we'll see what happens with that and where that goes. All right, and let's get into the big news of the day. We're going to start with the Arbery case. I don't even think I organized any of this today, so let's do a quick organization here. No, not that one. Go. Let's start with this one here. Breaking, Travis McMichael, Gregory McMichael, and William Bryan all found guilty on the murder of Ahmaud Arbery. Let's have a listen to what that sounded like.
Count 1, malice murder. We, the jury, find the defendant, Travis McMichael, guilty. I'm going to ask that whoever just made an outburst be removed from the court, please. As this court has indicated, I ask that there be no outbursts in the court, and I expect as much from the gallery. Please respect the court's desire for this as we move forward. If you feel like you need to make a comment or otherwise demonstrate with respect to the verdict, I do ask that you step out of the courtroom now. Count 2, felony murder. We, the jury, find the defendant, Travis McMichael, guilty. Count 3, felony murder. We, the jury, find the defendant, Travis McMichael, guilty. Count 4, felony murder. We, the jury, find the defendant, Travis McMichael, guilty. Count 5, felony murder. We, the jury, find the defendant, Travis McMichael, guilty. Count 6, aggravated assault. We, the jury, find the defendant, Travis McMichael, guilty. Count 7, aggravated assault. We, the jury, find the defendant, Travis McMichael, guilty. Count 8, false imprisonment. We, the jury, find the defendant, Travis McMichael, guilty. Count 9, criminal attempt to commit a felony. We, the jury, find the defendant, Travis McMichael, guilty. Dated this 24th day of November, 2021, signed by the foreperson.
And so, I guess it is a little bit of an interesting twist of fate between what it was that we saw with the Rittenhouse trial, where it was very solemn as all the verdict was being read, except for Rittenhouse collapsing into his lawyer off of this. But it's a different way to look at this versus what we are seeing with this particular case here, where there was talk about possibly some intimidation going on outside of the courtroom, and we'll talk just a bit about that as we go into the article. But just to have that outburst sitting here in the midst of this, looking in at what NBC News has to say here. From NBC News, 3 men found guilty of felony murder and other crimes in fatal shooting of Ahmaud Arbery. This is from Janelle Griffith and Daniela Silva. 3 white, and they've got to throw race into it. That's the right off the top. They got to throw race into it. It's NBC. What do you expect? 3 white men were found guilty Wednesday of felony murder in the shooting death of Ahmaud Arbery, a black man who was running in their neighborhood when they confronted him last year. The nearly all-white jury convicted Travis McMichael of malice, murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, false imprisonment, and criminal attempt to commit a felony. Which means that they're probably not going to see the light of day for at least just a little while. His father, Gregory McMichael, and their neighbor, William Roddy Bryan, were acquitted on the top charge. All now face up to life in prison. Even though this is not a celebration, it's a reflection to acknowledgement that the spirit of Ahmaud defeated the lynch. It's Benjamin Crump. I mean, who else would you expect something like that from? Civil rights attorney Benjamin Crump, who's representing Arbery's father, Marcus Arbery, said outside the courthouse Wednesday afternoon. What's he representing him for? It's the state versus the McMichaels. What exactly is the representation going on? I'm sure there's something. They'll come back and they'll find something. Of course they will. Wanda Cooper Jones, Arbery's mother, said that her son will now rest in peace. It's been a long fight. It's been a hard fight, she said. I never saw this day back in 2020. I never thought this day would come. But God is good. The McMichaels and Brian chased Arbery in pickup trucks after they spotted him in their neighborhood outside of Brunswick, Georgia. On February 23rd, 2020, Travis McMichael shot Arbery, 25, who was black, with a shotgun at close range. Brian filmed the fatal encounter on his cell phone. The three men were arrested months later after the leaked video brought the world's attention to the case. Arbery's family and civil rights leaders have likened the death to a modern-day lynching. Not quite, but keep trying to run that narrative. I mean, it's bad, but it's not what they're trying to make it off to be. The men also face federal hate crime charges. The jury deliberated for about 11 hours before reaching its decision. Which, I mean, I guess that doesn't seem like this. Wasn't it like 4 hours with the Chauvin one? I know it was something ridiculously short, but they're calling, after 4 days of deliberation with the Rittenhouse thing, they're calling this one a short deliberation too. Oh, it's a short deliberation, so they're coming back with a guilty as hell verdict, a guilty as sin verdict. Each man faced a total of 9 counts, 1 count of malice murder, 4 counts of felony murder, 2 counts of aggravated assault, and 1 count each of false imprisonment and criminal intent to commit a felony. Travis McMichael was convicted on all counts. His father, Gregory, was found guilty on all charges except the most serious, malice murder. Brian was also acquitted of malice murder. He was convicted on 3 of the 4 counts of felony murder, 1 of the 2 counts of aggravated assault, false imprisonment, and criminal attempt to commit a felony. Superior Court Judge Timothy Walmsley had instructed jurors that they should consider simple assault, reckless conduct, and reckless driving as lesser charges to aggravated assault for Brian. About an hour into the second day of deliberations on Wednesday, the jurors asked to review footage of the fatal encounter and a 911 call that Gregory and McMichael made on the day of the shooting. The jury viewed 2 videos, one of the original cell phone video and the other a high-contrast version of the same video, 3 times each, while seated in the courtroom. Arbery's father was removed from the courtroom as the verdict was being read after he audibly celebrated the announcement that Travis McMichael was guilty of malice murder. So that's who that was. That's who we heard on the video was Arbery's father. Now, I know that they came out in the NBC article and said, "Well, this is no need to celebrate. There's no need to celebrate off of this. This isn't something to celebrate." And yet, we've seen, especially Instagram. Of course, that may be just because of who I follow on Instagram, but especially on Instagram, and less so on Twitter. But we have seen massive celebration. This has been a victory lap for some people. Hey, look at this! But we're still trying to get this spun out as this is why the system doesn't work, and there's inherent racism in there. They're actually coming out to the point where they're bringing up the fact that, oh, well, none of this would have happened unless somebody had dropped the video, which is probably true, but I mean, we also don't convict in this country on hearsay. We don't do things like that. What we do is we go in and we convict on actual hard evidence. So once there was hard evidence brought forward, we did see something like that. So that's where we go off this. This was the right decision. From everything that I've seen off of this, I don't see any situation where this wasn't the right decision. This absolutely was what needed to go off of this. I know that both the McMichaels tried to come out and scream self-defense, and I know the other conversation that was going around Twitter was, oh, right-wingers are going to come out and they're going to try and say self-defense, even though I knew that they were going to be out there, but I didn't see a lot of those. And I pointed out on that same comment thread, yes, there are probably going to be ones who just come out to try to say this was nothing but self-defense, but those people are idiots. Those people are like the people in the Rittenhouse trial who didn't watch a second of the trial, which I will say I'm guilty of. I watched a little bit of it towards the end, but I was so focused on the Rittenhouse trial, I didn't really focus on the Arbery trial, or the McMichael trial, I should say, that I didn't see a lot of the McMichael one, so I come to a place of ignorance off of this too, but I've scoured, I've looked at all the evidence, and I've seen these people were advancing. The 3 of them were rounding up and advancing. You can't claim self-defense. It's just like that idiot Binger in the Rittenhouse trial said. If you're the aggressor, you can't claim self-defense. Well, if you're not operating on your duty to retreat, you're kind of the aggressor in that situation. So that's where we come off of that. So we'll move on from that. We'll probably talk more about that tomorrow when I'm back in studio here. Let's grab another one here. We've only got a couple, so. Oh yes, waiting for Chrome to catch up here, because we don't have near as much processor as we do at home. Let's see. From the New York Post, more than 75% of U.S. hit by inflation. Most blame Biden, poll shows. From Mark Moore. Most popular president in history. More votes than even Barack Obama. More than 3 out of 4 Americans say inflation is affecting their lives as the holiday season approaches, and more than half say that President Biden deserves at least some blame for the high prices, according to a new poll. A Yahoo News YouGov survey released Tuesday found that 77% of Americans say inflation has recently affected them to some extent, while 61% say the same about the ongoing supply chain crisis and the resulting shortage of goods and services. The poll also found that more than half of Americans, 51%, have expressed worry that they won't be able to afford what they need during the holidays due to inflation, while 45% fear they won't be able to get what they need because of the supply chain disruption. Yeah, I know the memes on that have been, though the memes have been kind of fun as we look at as we get into that. The memes, like I have one, I think I shared it out on Twitter. I know I shared it out on Instagram with Kermit the Frog in the middle of the Los Angeles area, and out in the middle of the ocean on a raft around all the container ships and doing some early Christmas shopping because, you know, it's still lined up out there. The disruptive effects of inflation cross partisan lines, as 69% of Democrats acknowledge that high prices have affected them, some, or a great deal. 9 out of 10 Republicans say the same, as do 79% of independents. Well, yeah, I mean, the majority of the people who inflation is going to be affecting in a positive light are very, very wealthy people who don't have their money in cash or savings accounts like the rest of us, but have them in assets which appreciate when inflation goes up. If you have a house and inflation goes up, the housing market goes up, the value of your house goes up because the value of the dollar goes down. But if it's in the savings account, the value of the dollar goes down, and it's just sitting there. And as the value of the dollar goes down, as they go and print more, right back down the tube. So yeah, of course, the big political donors out there, the big rich people out there, of course this is affecting them, but it's in a positive light. Oh, cool. My fourth corporation is worth more in a hard dollar amount? Oh, well, there's more dollars in circulation, so yeah, hey, I'm happy. But that's where we get off of that. Let's see. When asked whom they blame for the high prices caused by inflation, 80% of Americans pin at least some of the blame on the pinko pox, while 57% say Biden bears some or a great deal of responsibility. But when asked who deserves the most blame, 35% of respondents say Biden, while 30% say the pandemic. Nearly all Republicans and 65% of independents place at least some of the blame on the president for inflation, as do 28% of Democrats. Which, I mean, it's an interesting shift, and it does show where we're going tribally off of this. I mean, at some point we should be able to come together and look at let's use Tostitos cheese dip, for example, because that was where I noticed it the first time, because as the supply chain started to crunch, I mean, I've been buying that stuff because it works great for a low-carb diet. I've been buying that stuff in droves at $3.99 a jar for almost 2 years at this point. $3.99 a jar. But I noticed that the supply chain was starting to get constricted when over at Quick Trip it jumped up to $4.29 a jar. And that's where I started to notice. And then you start to see, because I don't really buy milk because lactose and sugar that goes with that. I use heavy cream, and that's actually holding somewhat steady. But yeah, I mean, I've noticed it. And I said to the cashier at the local Woodman's the one day, he asked me how I was. I said, I looked at what I had bought in a basket, not in a cart, but in a basket. And I said, well, yeah, ask me how I feel after spending $50 on a basket of groceries. Whereas $50 not that long ago was a full cart. Sometime, well, it was a little longer ago, but it was overflowing a little bit longer ago. And then the one day I had it in a basket, which I had a lot of meat. Don't get me wrong. I eat a lot of meat. But I mean, you got to be noticing something off of here, and it's not just supply chain issues, but that is a higher demand and higher shipping costs to get it there in a hurry. There is that aspect to it, but keep in mind, and this comes from the mechanic side of my background, fuel cost is going to be a thing. These trucks that get these things from the shipping port to you, to your store, get like 5 to 6 miles per gallon. And diesel is more expensive than gas right now. So at 5 to 6 miles to the gallon, you're seeing that price increase go up exponentially over what you're getting out of your SUV, out of your crossover, or whatever it is that you drive. It is a little bit different that way. So something to watch for. I know that they're saying like the cost of pie shells is up 28 cents, which you don't usually think about that until you're making a bunch of pies. The turkey is up a few cents a pound. At 28 pounds, that starts to add up. All right. But that's what we see off of that. Alright, I got just a few more here. Let's grab this one from English.alarbi.com, the new Arab. A little bit of foreign news for us. Something to watch for, especially, now that the establishment is back in power. Syrian Kurdish leaders to meet with Russian FM to discuss regime reconciliation. This is from William Christou over in Lebanon. Syrian Kurdish leaders met with Russian FM in Moscow, discussing relations with Damascus and a possible solution to the civil war. Syrian Democratic Council President Ilham Ahmed, whose group governs northeast Syria, met with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov on Tuesday to discuss a political settlement in Syria. The meeting focused on the situation in the northeast and activating the political settlement in Syria on the basis of UN Security Council Resolution number 2254, a statement from the Russian Foreign Ministry read. UNSC Resolution 2254 was adopted in 2015 to provide a political settlement to the now decade-long Syrian civil war. The SDC is the political body governing the autonomous administration of North and East Syria. This area makes up about a quarter of the country and holds most of its wheat and oil prices. The AANES has enjoyed political autonomy from Damascus since 2013 and is mainly ruled by the area's Kurdish population. The most important point of the meeting was the negotiations between Damascus and the AANES, according to the SDC's official press page. Since Turkey launched Operation Peace Spring in northeast Syria in October of 2019, the AANES has been engaged in on and off. They use a different expression over in Europe and Syria. That's why that's confusing to me. And on and off again negotiations, whereas we would have said on again, off again negotiations with Damascus under Russian supervision. Until now, negotiations have mostly stalled, reportedly due to the regime's refusal to afford the AANES autonomy under any future deals. It is through the Russian track that the SDC sees the best opportunity to move the Assad government towards a deal that would retain the local power of the autonomous administration. Nicholas Harras, the coordinator of the New Lines Institute Human Security Unit, told the New Arab. So, some stuff moving over in Syria, which is going to affect, Israel, which is going to affect the US, because that's how politics works, especially in foreign policy over in this country. And that doesn't matter who's in charge at this point. So we'll be watching and seeing where that goes. That's going to be an interesting one to see, especially, with Russia now being the prime provider of natural gas to Europe on top of this. And now they're going to become, are they setting themselves up to become the world superpower? I don't know. I don't think they've got it in them, but I think they're going to try. And we'll see what happens with that. This is one I think to watch. Usually when I see a Middle East skirmish, I say, okay, at least pay attention to it, but it's probably going to be nothing. This one actually makes me think a little bit, and I do think that we're going to need to pay real close attention to this one and see what happens, because this is the one that might catch the world interest. It's this, with Russia trying to get involved in Syria, going across Turkey to do so, and then what's going on with China and Taiwan. Those are the two to really watch, because China and Taiwan pulls Japan into it, which in turn, with the financial ties we have there, pulls us into it. But we'll see what happens with that and where that goes. What else do we have? Come on, girl. You can do it. There we go. I think part of this is my ad blocker isn't running either. Because once again, I haven't used this computer in so long. Hospitalizations rising among the fully vaccinated in the U.S., Fauci says. But I thought this was going to be the be-all, end-all, and as soon as everybody got vaccinated, nobody had to worry about this anymore. From Akshay Sial. As cases of the commie cough rise throughout the U.S., health officials warn that an increasing number of fully vaccinated people are being hospitalized or going to the emergency room. The concern about waning immunity against severe COVID infections comes as the FDA is expected to authorize a Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine booster shot for all adults 18 and older. And then Pfizer and BioNTech are going to get a whole bunch of fucking money. At the taxpayer's expense, by the way. What we're starting to see is that, yeah, that's Fauci. We gotta go do the Fauci voice. What we're starting to see now is an uptick in hospitalizations among people who've been vaccinated but not boosted. Dr. Fauci, the director of the National Institute for Allergy and Infectious Disease, said Tuesday in an interview, "It's a significant proportion, but not the majority by any means." On Wednesday, Dr. Rochelle Walensky, the director of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, reported a decline in vaccine effectiveness among the elderly and residents of long-term care facilities, many of whom were the first to be eligible for to be vaccinated last winter. Although the highest risk are the people who are unvaccinated, we're seeing an increase in emergency room department visits among adults 65 and older, which are now, again, higher than they are for younger age groups, Walensky said Wednesday at a White House COVID briefing. Really? So, wait, you're telling me that a disease that seemed to, right from the beginning, target the elderly is once again targeting the elderly? I'm shocked. I'm really not shocked, but I'm shocked that you're shocked. Walensky also pointed to new data on long-term care facilities from the agency's National Healthcare Safety Network, comparing rates of the COVID disease between people who are vaccinated with 2 doses and those who have received extra doses. Bro, look at me. I've had so many doses. Look at all these doses I've had. The rate of the disease is markedly lower for those who received their booster shot, demonstrating our boosters are working, she said. Fauci and Walensky stressed that the majority of hospitalizations and deaths are still among unvaccinated people in the U.S. Studies show that those who are unvaccinated continue to be more likely to be infected, more likely to be in the hospital, and more likely to have severe complications from the pinko pox, Walensky said at the briefing. The current 7-day rate of hospital admissions is about 5,300 per day, according to the CDC, and about 1,000 people in the U.S. are dying from COVID every day. Dying from or with? That's always been the question I've had from this, right from the beginning. Is it from COVID or is it with COVID? The CDC didn't respond to a request for new numbers, because of course they didn't. But make sure you go out there and you don't pay the money. We pay it in the taxpayer, but make sure you go and get that vaccine so that they can go build the government for another one there. Follow the money. That's what I've said from the beginning. Follow the money. And I have found this hilarious since the beginning. Right since the beginning, I have found this completely hilarious. The same people who were just 3 years ago railing on how bad Big Pharma is. It's the most horrible thing. The Family Guy video that we watched, who all tell us how horrible Big Pharma is, are now right in the pocket for Big Pharma. Hey, make sure you go get your vaccine. Are you vaccinated yet? Go get your vaccine. Except for Aaron Rodgers. Alright, I think we just got 2 more, and then we'll go talk about Turkey. We'll do some live chat. We'll get some possible, some stuff. We'll see if we can get some Discord calls. I think I got my headphones fixed, so I guess we'll try that out too. I don't know if anybody's going to take me up on that offer. It looks like everybody's spending time with their family, which is good. I would rather people spend the time with the family than spend the time here, but I know I promised you guys that we wouldn't miss a weekday, so we're not going to miss a weekday. From Vice. What is this, like the 3rd time I've ever used Vice? Well, I've used Tim Pool as a reference before, so that's the same as using Vice, I guess. Neo-Nazis are using the Waukesha attack for propaganda. This is going to be intelligent. Thank you, Midget B in the Discord, for coming in and linking this and archived it. Let's see. This is from Ben Makuch. Only a day after a man drove his SUV into a Christmas parade in a suburb of Milwaukee, killing 5 people and injuring 48, right-wing extremists are using the incident as propaganda, spinning it as a calculated terrorist attack perpetrated by a left-wing radical. Yo, I've seen the dude's social media. If that's not true, they're not far off. Without knowing the motives of the driver, he spent years yelling, "Kill Whitey." And then he went into one of the whitest cities in Wisconsin and drove along a parade route. I can't say I know for sure what his motives are, but I think I've got a little bit of an idea. Without knowing the motives of the driver, a Wisconsin man named Darrell E. Brooks Jr., with a history of domestic violence and a recent arrest for vehicular assault, far-right Telegram channels are full of terror allegations despite categorical police statements rejecting that terrorism had anything to do with the tragic events. He lived in the next town over, Ron. This happened in Waukesha. He lived in Milwaukee. Just a short little trip down I-94. What's up? Yes. For example, one post by a neo-Nazi prepper account called the mainstream media for some sort of coordinated cover-up, describing the incident as blatant anti-white terror attack. Oh, you mean like looking at somebody driving through a parade route and sweeping through looks like he tried to get the most damage possible. I mean, we watched the video. And then the media coming up and saying, oh, well, it's just a car crash. It's just a car accident. However, while police in Waukesha allege the attack on the parade was intentional, they say that Brooks had just left the scene of a domestic disturbance and was not acting upon any terrorist influence or organization, but it was in some sort of disturbed haze. That didn't stop an ex-Marine and minor Telegram celebrity with thousands of followers from printing posters with a swastika and a slogan, "We will not forget Waukesha," and offering them to followers for distribution across the country. Terrorism watchdog site Intel reported a similar postering campaign. Another popular Telegram account, known for providing cybersecurity tips to neo-Nazis trying to shield their identity from authorities, put a post out viewed over 8,000 times, saying Brooks' actions Sunday were connected to the recent acquittal of Kyle Rittenhouse. Wait, is this dude talking about me? Because that was like the first thing that I said. But I'm not in Telegram, so there's that. But that legitimately, as soon as I found out about it, and I was taking a day off that day. I just played Fallout 4 that day, all Sunday. That's all that I did. I didn't see this. This happened at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I didn't see it until 8. When Katie Zed, I think she messaged, I don't think she texted me. I think she messaged me on Twitter and said she was praying for everybody that I knew in Waukesha. I'm like, I don't really know anybody in Waukesha, and then I found out what happened. And that was 2 days after the... Was it 2 or 3? No, that happened on a Friday, and this happened on a Sunday. So yeah, 2 days after the verdict. Once again, I don't know if that was the motive behind it, but given the proximity of where Waukesha is versus Kenosha, and the fact that the media tried to bring race into this whole thing, it's not outside the realm of possibility to think that. That's going to be for a court and a jury of his peers to decide, but it's not outside the realm of possibility. Other posts directly called for retribution, asking followers to avenge the incident that is being portrayed by some as some sort of coordinated terror attack in the vein of ISIS. One account that has significant following amongst the most hardcore Are these people actually neo-Nazis? I know the one guy, I guess, threw a poster out with a swastika. Usually when they throw those out, they're glowing. One account that has significant following among the most hardcore neo-Nazis is a characterizing the attack as a perfect rallying call and a continued sign of violent political chaos in the U.S. and hoped it would hasten the collapse of U.S. society. Brooks is due in court Tuesday and expected to face 5 intentional homicide charges. Among other charges, right-wing politicians and media personalities have been aggressively going after persecutors because Brooks Jr. was on bail at the time of the incident. So this story is, this one's a couple days old. When was this done? This came out on Tuesday. And yes, now we've come off and they've added the 6th charge for homicide after the 8-year-old boy died. And they're still expecting more. But this is Vice doing things that Vice does. Trying to spin this, trying to make sure that you don't believe that this had anything to do. Because only white supremacists, like Rittenhouse, can be domestic terrorists. Sorry, I'm trying to keep the language and the gestures somewhat clean today because I'm in my mom and dad's house. But sometimes I just read crap like this and realize that there's no fucking way to do this. Alright, last one. Oh, I thought I had the article for this too. Apparently I did. That's okay, we can open that back up. For the last one that we'll do for news from the New York Post, and then we'll see if we can get some people in and hear what they're thankful for Thanksgiving here today. I know it looks like I've got a few people watching, but it looks like it's just Ron that's chatting in the live chat here. From the New York Post, Gerald Brooks shared pro-Hitler memes called for violence against white people. Let's read what they have to say. From Lee Brown, the ex-con charged over the deaths of 6 people at a Wisconsin Christmas parade shared social media posts calling for violence against white people and suggested that Hitler was right for killing the Jews. Well, if I didn't get kicked off of YouTube yesterday for Germany's brand new Meet a Jew program that they have coming out here, that might have been the kicker right there. I'm sure I tripped some sort of algorithm somewhere. Although the Nightbot over on the YouTube side seems to be working, so maybe I'm not kicked off YouTube. Let's see. Darrell Brooks Jr., who has a decades-long rap sheet, shared a series of disturbing memes and messages on social media, most of which have been deleted since his arrest for Sunday's deadly carnage. Oh yeah, no, I'm sure the mainstream media had a field day getting in there, making sure delete. Shit. We can't let this get out here. Although 4chan probably has it all archived already anyway, which is probably why we're sitting here reading this. They included numerous posts for attacking cops, comparing them to Ku Klux Klan members, and calling them violent street gangs, as well as calling for violence towards white people, according to screenshots. Learned and taught behavior, he wrote on June 9th last year amid the violent upheaval over St. George, hallowed be his name's murder by a Minnesota cop, according to a screenshot shared by the Daily Mail. So when we start back knocking white people the fuck out, I don't want to hear it. Old white people too. Knock them the fuck out, period, he wrote under his rap name, Math Boy Fly, along with a middle finger. Yeah, I'm sure he's good at math. Police have yet to announce a motive for Sunday's carnage, but all 6 who died, including an 8-year-old boy, were white. In 2015, he shared a disturbing anti-Semitic meme that appeared to align with the beliefs of the Black Hebrew Israelites, according to another screenshot shared by the Daily Mail. Titled, Hitler Knew Who the Real Jews Were. I don't know why this page is staying so unresponsive. Well, maybe because I have like a third of the processor that I usually do. It shares widely debunked claim that the Nazi maniac had warned that his genocide was partly driven because he knew the Negroes were the true Hebrews. Oh boy. Hi, Susan. I hope you're enjoying this, going through your algorithms. It suggests that World War III would start when people learned Hitler was right and did the world a favor. I've tripped enough algorithms, I cannot read that next line. I can't do that. There is no sourcing on the meme, and a Reuters investigation has made clear that there was no reason to suggest the warning was made by Hitler, who saw black people as a threat to the purity of the Germanic race. In his rap songs, Brooks also bragged that he was a terrorist and a killer in the city, according to The Sun. Well, we're this far. Let's at least see what the memes are. There's the tweet that was archived and screenshotted before it got deleted. That we're not going to read. Real game right here, he says. Alright, now it froze up. But the white pill on this is that the city of Waukesha has come together. I mean, we see the nice big candlelight vigil here celebrating the lives of the people who lost their lives throughout this, which, I mean, that's really cool to see. The typical Black Lives Matter one. There he is in the court. There's some of the aftermath as people were trying to heal some of the victims. Each homicide count carries a potential sentence of life without parole, given the seriousness of his crime, which occurred after he was cut loose from inappropriately low bail. In an unrelated case, he was held on $5 million bail. And, as I said yesterday, I'm sure that the Minnesota Freedom Fund is already out there trying to get this all gathered up. Alright, let's check in with chat. Let's get this done, and let's see if we do have anybody that wants to get the call-in. I'm in the call-in room on the Discord, so if you guys want to, get into the waiting room, get to the Pick Me channel, and see what we've got going on there. Let's get up to here on the Discord and see. Alright, what do we got? Going back up to the top. EOR Explorers wants to start some trouble again, I'm thinking. He says, want to talk? He wants to rant against me, but, well, we'll do that on a regular call-in show, not on a holiday one, because we're trying to celebrate today. We don't want to do rants. Might Be Wrong is here. Good morning, Might Be Wrong. Might Be Wrong, the great meme smith of over on Instagram and Twitter. Follow Might Be Wrong on both. I think it's Media Be Wrong on Twitter, but follow Might Be Wrong if you want some great memes. Memes to the same quality level as KDZ and Arbolt. Make sure you go follow Might Be Wrong as well. Ron Helton is here. I think Ron Helton was the only one who chatted throughout the entire day, but let's see what we've got going on here. All the way back up to the top. Don't burn the turkey, J. Edgar and fellow Ed heads. Nice. Late to the party, got sidetracked watching videos on Rumble since 3 a.m. Hey, YouTube, look out, you're about to be replaced. Censorship is a bitch. Yeah, I don't... That's part of the hard thing, that I do have to wonder if they're actually going to get replaced or not with by Rumble. I do know that we have some other more left-leaning personalities that are going over to Rumble because they don't get censored as much. And I mean, you're never going to see the contemporary on the front page of YouTube. It's never going to happen. I don't have the right kind of opinions, and I'm not CNN. I haven't paid $1 million to YouTube to get featured on the front page. Nor will I. But the other side of that is a lot of the people who would come over that are non-political actors, they won't go over to Rumble because they believe that it's a site full of neo-Nazis. So, let's see, what else do we have here? Ron says, nah, even the inflated price of a home is still too low to compensate for the lower valued dollars. That's fair. Maybe. It's more balanced than it is for, like, what's in your savings account. I can say that. But yes, I will say that the difference is astonishing. For example, gold in 1913 is really worth over $34,000 now, and silver's actual worth is over $4,000. We base the value on 1913 dollars because that was when the country had a free market money system. It's now all smoke and mirrors from the Federal Reserve. Ron, I get the feeling you don't like the government. Ron's, okay, let's do a quick wrap of the news today. I want to hear what everyone's eating for Turkey Day. Did you ever cover an article about Yemen? They're protesting the U.S. government, burning homemade U.S. flags. They're tired of the U.S. siding with the Saudis to murder them. No, but I will put a note in my show notes to look into that. Is Yemen... I'm sure Midget B is going to see this message and actually have a response for it. Protesting the U.S. We'll look into that. We'll see if we can find something for tomorrow for that. Russia getting involved with Syria. They have been allies since the 50s. They even have a treaty, unlike the U.S. and Israel. Who no signed treaty, or who have not signed a treaty, I think is what he's trying to say. The jabs do not work. These criminals need to be rounded up and persecuted for crimes against humanity. Fauci, the FDA, the CDC, and the pharma companies. This one. Let's actually test YouTube's algorithms here. This was a bioweapon that was unleashed upon the world. The jab is the virus. Stop taking this poison. The same spike protein that's used to make the original virus is in the jab. Think about it. These people are evil. Well, on a traditional, and I know that this isn't a traditional vaccine either, but on a traditional vaccine, the same proteins that are used for a virus are into them so your body can recognize the virus and go attack it. That's how a traditional vaccine works. But this is far from a traditional vaccine too, so there's that. Serious scientists and epidemiologists have stated the current trajectory of this virus is downward. It will eventually be no stronger than a bad cold. I mean, we're kind of there now. With the exception of a few cases with severely immunocompromised people, it really is much more than a bad cold. That is not what you expect from a bioweapon created in a lab. That's not found in nature. Is chat disconnected again today? No, I think most people are just spending time with their families. Which is fine. Like I say, I promised a show today, so we're doing that. I'm keeping my end of the bargain. Because if so, I just typed a short book for no reason. Did Brooks actually live in the city or another one? He lived the next town over. Okay, yeah, he is a sorry evil bastard. I think this qualifies as an actual domestic terrorism, not the January 4th Selfie Fest. January 6th Selfie Fest. I don't have a Telegram account yet. I just signed up for Rumble this week, spending quite a bit of time watching there instead of the highly censored and propagandized YouTube site. I gotta redo finances if I do, but I know I would go to Rumble, and I know like the already conservative, he's streaming exclusively to Rumble. He's not doing YouTube anymore. I would actually go and do Rumble, but it cost like you can upload videos there for free. But if you want to stream there, it costs you $15 a month. But I think that actually might be worth it. So I would actually look into it. I'm thinking about it. Let's see. The people of this country will be just fine. The U.S. government, that's a different story. Time to end this corrupt empire. Thank you, Ron. I've been asked to use humor and not raise my voice at dinner this afternoon. I will probably not say anything. Well, it's good that you got the outlet here this morning, then. I have been invited again this year. I've taken a few pies, apple, pecan, and lemon. I wish I'd picked up a pumpkin and a cherry pie as well, but somebody else brings those. I had to renew my driver's license to drive in this land of the free. I optimistically paid for an 8-year license. At least it was heavily discounted because of my age. I hope that you're here for 8 more years, Ron, because my chat's going to be very, very empty without you. That unresponsive webpage message is what I get on my laptop. Low memory, it only has 4 gigs. One needs a minimum of 8 gigs now. Yeah, that's what the old HP has, is 8. My big computer has 16, but we're probably going to be going up to, in the near future, 32, because I'm already running up on memory issues with that. Because the news is so crazy, and we have like 30 to 40 tabs every morning. And Google Chrome will eat up your RAM in a hurry. Wow, they have a bulletproof vest on that sicko. That makes sense. Pretty sure someone wants to cut to the chase. Yee, that's Susan bait. Alright, no calls. Nobody in there for that. I think that means it's time to head out of here for the day. Let's throw some Ultra music up and let's go. Short show. We're not sitting up here at 9 o'clock with me thinking, oh shit, well we gotta get done so Daily Ignoramus can start. Which I think he's going to be streaming today with his mom too, so that'll be cool. They're going to be talking, I know he's going to play Talk Turkey. Where's my outro music? There it is. Come on, old HP, think faster. There we go. Open with. Give that just a second to think. She's old. So, thanks everybody who came by and watched and lurked. It looks like there was a lot more lurk than there was everything else, but that's fine. Oh, we got one last chat member here. Leifekdal. Hello, hopefully you're not one of those cringy avant-garde anarchist communists. No, I don't do the communism thing. I'm just a general run-of-the-mill anarchist. My political philosophy is government, leave me alone. You can have as much government as you want as long as you keep it over there. Alright, but thanks everybody. I hope everybody who did lurk, listen, and didn't chat but still was here has a great Thanksgiving. Spend it with your family. I'll be back here tomorrow morning, 7:15 a.m. Central Time for More Contemporary, a regular length show tomorrow. So we'll be talking about the news and everything else that goes on there. And possibly we'll do something over the weekend as well. I know I've been neglecting my video game stream duties, so we might come back out and do that. Do a little bit of stuff, a little bit of a chat, and maybe some calls maybe over the weekend too. We'll see what happens there, but that will be after I get home. We will see you guys then, and until then, I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Take care.